What's up everybody, Coach Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video. And in this video, I'm going to be teaching you 8 things that you need to master or you absolutely won't be able to climb. So make sure you watch to the end if you are having trouble climbing out of your rank. And there'll be sure to be some things that you can master here so that you can easily climb. But go to the GameLeap website right now if you want to climb with ease, because we have in-depth Radiant VOD reviews, advanced tips and tricks, mechanical guides, and much, much more. Do yourself a favor right now and take advantage of our 50% off sale in the links down below. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now, the first thing that you're gonna have to master, or you're just gonna die a lot. And if you do master it, you're gonna be able to get a lot of free kills, and it's turning on flashes. Now, the first thing that you need to understand about turning on specifically Breach and Phoenix flashes is that you don't actually need to turn on the flashes completely. Some people want to do 180 motions, and while yes, that can completely isolate you from the flash, you don't realistically have to do that altogether. Sometimes it's okay to do like a 90-degree turn just to where your camera is not in the face of the flash, so that by the time you flip back, you're going to be able to see again. Because the thing is, when an enemy swings through, you not only need to actually turn from the flash so that you're not blinded, but you also have to be able to fire back. And the further that you go, if you go more than you need to, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to realign yourself when you turn back. So just make sure that you're not fully going all the way to 180. Usually about 100 degrees is fine, or even a little bit less than that, as long as you're not facing the flash completely. Now, that being said, however, there are different intricacies between turning on Phoenix flashes and Breach's flashes, but the one thing that they have in common is that if you're not thinking about the possibility of a flash coming out, you will never be able to react to it on the fly. You always need to be thinking, if a flash comes out, I'm gonna turn on it, I'm gonna turn on it, I'm gonna turn on it. Pump yourself up, tell it to yourself, and that is the way that you're gonna start executing it far more. Now, Phoenix flashes are typically a lot easier to turn on. However, if there's a smoke that is placed there, a lot of times the Phoenix can push through it and flash out, but the easiest way to punish that is to consistently spam through smokes with a Phantom. Now, Breaches are fundamentally extremely difficult to actually turn on, but if you get really good at reacting to the flash cue, you're gonna actually be able to get right out of the flash just barely and turn around and headshot that brim. Remember that Breach actually has to stand a little bit away from the wall to set up his own flash, so if he's the one that's following through, you typically will have enough time. As long as you dodge the full front of the flash, you will be able to actually shut him down as he swings. Now, moving on to the second big skill that you need to master if you want to climb, and you need to understand the difference between taking a long-range duel and a close-range duel. The thing that you need to understand is that longer-range duels are going to be less forgiving mechanically because it's harder shots, right? The target is smaller, so it's going to be more difficult, and you can't just spray your way into a headshot, right? Because they're so far away, they're just very unforgiving, and because of that, it's going to be less time to kill on average. That means that if you were in a long engagement with somebody, the time to kill is less, so the pressure on you should be less as well. Like, let me ask you a question. How many times have you gotten into a spray battle with someone from long range and the fight just lasts way longer than it had any reason to last? Well, if you would have just let your aim fully reset and tap fired, you would have been able to win that matchup outright. But because you panicked, you thought you were gonna die, so you committed to a spray even though your crosshair placement and your recoil was getting away from you. That is why you ultimately lost that duel. And then the last tip regarding this is sometimes just disengage, especially if like an enemy Opper missed a shot. Sometimes the best thing to do is just to disengage, not take that duel anymore. You got that information and you don't want to risk it anymore. Or if you took a lot of damage and you can get out, sometimes disengaging is the best thing that you can do. Now, moving on to the next tip that I got for you in this video, and it's slide scoping with an op. And this is a pretty simple thing that you need to learn, but it's incredibly important to learn because honestly, the operator is still incredibly strong. And if you can learn how to abuse this weapon, especially against team compositions that don't have smoke, so don't effectively flush you out, you can get a lot of free value. The first thing about slide scoping is you're dragging to a stop, counter strafing, and then hitting that shot. Now, there's a few things that you need to understand. One, you can actually literally walk with that first zoom out. If you're holding the angles, the second you see a target, you counter strafe, stop, and you shoot the target. Now, the one thing that a lot of people mess up is they try to go too fast. They feel like, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, and then they fire, they haven't actually stopped, or they haven't actually counter strafed, and they miss that shot, and then the enemy knows, hey, I can push you because it's gonna take a while before you can shoot again. Now, you don't wanna just like take forever, but you're gonna lose a lot more matchups because you fired too soon and missed, missed rather than not firing at all. And enemies that aren't pre-aiming you will not instantly kill you. So just keep that in mind. And when you're practicing slide scoping, realize that you have more time than you think you do, and always aim for the chest or center mass. Now moving on to the next thing that you need to master or you will not climb, and it's how to swing angles. A lot of times you are messing it up, and one of the biggest reasons that you're messing it up is because you're getting eaten alive by pressure. You need to actually be stopping with confidence. And a lot of times what people do is they will swing around and they will start firing before they completely stop, or they will stop and then they will start moving again because they're so freaking eaten by that pressure. Now, I know it's very difficult to just iron this out, but the best thing I would suggest to do is go play free-for-all and make yourself as numb to this as possible. You gotta realize that you are losing a lot of these duels because you're getting eaten by pressure. Being nervous and letting it affect your gameplay is the reason that you're losing. Essentially, your instincts, quote unquote, are actually teaching you the improper way to act. You're overly scared, you're hesitant, you're afraid that you're gonna die, so you actually contribute to all the things that are ensuring your death in the process. Now remember, the only true way to really iron this out is to build confidence in your own mechanical skill, which takes time and practice. But of course, go head over to the GameLeap website if you want to learn exactly how to gain the confidence of a Radiant player. Links down below. But moving on to the next tip that we got for you in this video, and it's how to engage angles. You see, there's different ways to engage angles, and a lot of players are doing it incorrectly, and it's really getting them killed and preventing them from climbing. The first thing that you need to understand is the slice of the pie, which is where you just hold your crosshair right next to a wall as you slowly walk around it. Now, something that's important though is if you're going extremely slow, you need to be further from the pivot angle. What I mean by that is there will be a point of rotation where the little wall where you will directly see the enemy after you pass it. If you are closer to that wall than the enemy is, they will see you first if you're trying to slice the pie. And if you're further away, you will see them first. And that is a really important thing that you need to understand, because of course, if you peek them and you're peeking them slowly and they see you first, you're gonna die, right? But if you could set up a further angle or a further slice and you see them first, you could easily kill them. So definitely keep that in mind if you're slow peeking / slicing the pie angles. And then of course, if you have a strong indication that an enemy is there, you can hold a very close angle and quickly actually pivot out and pre-fire crouch. Now, the reason that you're crouching generally is because most players will have their crosshair head level, and if you instantly go really fast on the angle, you're not only gonna move further on the screen, but on top of that, you are going to be crouching, so if they just spam fire, they're gonna miss you altogether and you're going to be able to kill them because your crosshair is already going to be aimed a little bit further upwards towards the enemy's head. Now, the next tip that you really need if you want to climb is you need to learn the art of patience. And this is also called trigger discipline, and a lot of players really mess this up, and I know why. Sometimes you see an enemy and you see their head and you just instantly want to fire, right? You want to fire away, you want to get that kill in the bag, but a lot of times trigger discipline can lead to either more kills or guaranteed ones. Sometimes players are going to be rushing their shots and they're not actually set up in the proper position, or they are not ready to take a duel. Like they're running, they need to reload, or giving away their position is going to get them killed by someone else. On top of that, sometimes when you have that trigger discipline, multiple enemies will assume that no one's there because obviously their ally didn't get shot, and other people will walk in front of you and you're going to be able to get a double kill or triple kill or even more. Patience is something that you absolutely have to learn in the game of Valorant if you want to climb, because having that patience is going to enable you to make way more carry plays, and it's going to give you that discipline to really be cool, calm, and collected, and you could take that into all different aspects of your play. So definitely take this tip to heart. Now moving on to the seventh thing that you absolutely need to master in the game of Valorant, and it's information control. And at a primary level, this is just being silent. There are a lot of players that will make assumptions, incorrect ones, and give up information for free. They see an enemy like push onto the other site, so they just start running only to get headshotted. Or maybe they're relatively nearby the area that they're gonna contest and they reload their gun even though they only use like 2 bullets. Giving up this information should only be done when you are absolutely sure that that information can't be used against you. This is exactly like when the enemy taps the spike and you know that the enemy might be sticking it, so you actually literally just book it. You get scared and you book it all the way from long, but here's the thing. The enemy actually knows that you can't get to them in time, so they stick it instead. Now, if instead you would have actually just whipped out your knife and you were actually silent, it is far more likely that the enemy doesn't hold it there, or you make noise on purpose once you get incredibly close to them. You see how controlling that information flow can be vital to you, and you always need to be cognizant of what information you're giving to enemies based on any action, and don't assume that enemies aren't nearby to capitalize on it just because there's enemies doing something on the other map or they're engaging somewhere else. Unless you have full known information, you can't assume anything or it's gonna get you killed. Now, the last thing that you need to master is a mechanical tip, and it's the shoulder plus jump peek. And this is something that a lot of players are still doing wrong and they're dying because of it. A full shoulder jump peek where your whole body falls on the other side of the wall is gonna get you sniped and killed. I mean, just 100% of the time, you're gonna die. The idea is that you're only peeking with part of your body at the pinnacle of your jump, and then you're coming back behind the wall before you touch the ground. This is a combination of shoulder peeking and bunny hopping that will allow you to gather information without getting sniped, and even if you do get sniped, you're usually going to get sniped in the leg, so you won't instantly die at the very least. Now, on top of this, you could also be just gathering information with your minimap and not necessarily with your eyes, because I know that this happens so fast. So what the most important thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that the movement of this is correct. Practice this in just training, or practice this in free-for-all, whatever the case may be. Just practice this movement and don't worry too much about what you see, but instead how you execute this, because this is a vital skill that's really going to be valuable to you towards climbing to any rank. And a lot of players are just doing this wrong, getting killed. I mean, players all over the place are still dying to an op that they could have easily checked with this peeking strategy. So definitely make sure you practice it and make sure you have it on point. But these are 8 things that are guaranteed to help you climb, that you all need to master if you want to climb the ranks. But the GameLeap.com website is the best place. If you want to climb easily with in-depth VOD reviews, advanced tips and tricks, mechanical guides, and much, much more, right now, go check it out in the links down below using our 50% discount. But that's all we got for you today. Thanks so much for coming by. I'm Coach Mills, and of course, until next time.